This is the Pharmaverse Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Pietrack, engaging leaders from the pharma universe. Hello and welcome to the Pharmaverse Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Pietrack. And if you're aspiring to be a leader in the pharmaceutical industry, you are in the right place because we interview the brightest stars from all corners of the pharma universe. And today's guest certainly fits that description. We're joined by Donnie Wooten Jr. He's the global head of strategic medical content and Omni-Channel at Organon. So Donnie Wooten, welcome to the Pharmaverse.
Oh man, thank you so much, Michael. It's always a joy connecting with you. Since basically my whole career, I've gotten to know you. So thank you for being a member of the medical affairs community. And thanks for welcoming me to the Pharmaverse.
Thank you. That's very nice of you. And I think, we got to get the legal disclaimer out of the way. Obviously, these opinions are yours, not Organon's, correct?
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that because this is really just based off of my experience over the course of my career and really through the experiences I'm gaining through my career. So I have the chance to sit on the Medical Affairs Professional Society, co-chairing the Omni-Channel Field Medical Working Group. All of our peers in medical affairs, all the pharma companies, they have representatives there. So we're all trying to figure these things out and working together. And then also I had the privilege of going to get my executive education at Kellogg in Omni-Channel customer experience. So I'm so passionate about being able to deliver for patients in ways that they can get the information through their providers on their channels in the format they want. But more than anything, I'm excited to listen, share, and learn because I know there's always many ways to do multiple things.
Oh, wow. Well, that's great. I didn't know some of that. It's been so great to watch your career unfold. You said we've known each other a while. I was thinking back, we met at the Rutgers Postdoctoral Industry Fellowship back in the day, right?
Yeah. It was such a long time ago. And shout out to Rutgers. They recruit some of the best and brightest. And I most recently saw one of my postdoc fellows that we call them at a company. And I was like, oh my God, you've gone so far. So shout out to Rutgers.
Yeah, no doubt. Here. So you've been on this more than 10-year journey to get where you are now. And I thought where we could start the discussion is you were an oncology MSL, about 5 years of experience. Right around that time, you're probably chomping at the bit for some sort of promotion, at least the MSLs I talk to are. And you were promoted into this medical alignment and training role. So what advice can you give to an MSL who might be looking for that first promotion into another function?
Yeah, shout out to the MSLs too. I believe that the MSLs are one of the most pivotal roles in the medical affairs organization because of their direct ability to impact patient care. They see the providers on a routine ability and they build that rapport so they understand what's going on the ground level. So shout out to them. That was also one of my most admired opportunities in my career is like being in the field, being in the trenches, understanding patient care and the providers. So I really enjoyed it. I started my career, like you said, back at Rutgers. I was on the commercial side. I got the chance to start out in commercial and learn that enterprise and that business really, really well. Michael, you asked what advice that I would say. What I learned on that side is that it's really clear, at least it was back then, if you're in the commercial enterprise, like how you move up the ladder. Over in medical is not that clear. And specifically what I mean, like, hey, you go be a sales rep in the commercial side, you maybe lead a sales team, you come in and you become a field trainer, and then you go and become the group, the product director, from the product director to the group product director, all the way up into your VP of marketing and so far and so on. What I understood through that experience is how pivotal it was to get field experience. So I shout out the MSLs and I did that. But what I learned, it's not that clear on the medical side. What you have to do, at least from my experience, is first knock out your day job. You have to knock out your day job because if you don't, you're not giving people the confidence and the trust necessary to give you opportunities that's going to give you some broader experiences. So those broader experiences might be going in-house and learning about leading strategy or some other role. But when you get on those broader experiences, it'll allow you to understand the business a lot better. So the one thing I'll say, knock out your day job. And the second one is network and try and get experiences that have broadened your overall experience versus the field.
So knock out your day job and expand your experiences and look for opportunities within the company. That's good advice. There's another part of your experience that I think is truly unique. Merck spins off part of their business to Organon. Other people are going through like acquisitions where they're they're the part of the company that's acquired, kind of a thing. And they're transitioning into a company where they almost have to reestablish themselves even in the same role that they've been in. So what advice would you give to someone who's facing a situation like that?
Yeah, man. It's such a great opportunity to learn and to be a part of change. So I would tell people, embrace change and opportunity. One of my mentors told me that you get the best out of yourself when you're at the edge of your comfort zone. That's when you are growing and inspiring. So I looked at that as an opportunity to connect with my network and say, hey, I'm thinking about this. It's putting me at the edge of my comfort zone. And they give me their advice and they're giving me their opinion. They actually connected me with people. Like you said earlier, I spent all my career in oncology. This was not what was being spun off. It's a very different company. However, being able to go back and talk to my mentors, my sponsor, and get their advice, I was able to move into that role, understanding like, one, they can connect me with folks who can help shape and make me understand the new business, but also allow me to learn as I go on. So I'll say, bring your network with you. And then also be clear when you get there, you've got to knock out that job. Yeah. But what that looks like is like going on a listening tour. I like to say it as a 360 reverse listening tour. Like you go, you listen, you meet folks, but then you return around and you say, here's what I'm hearing. Here's what I'm proposing. How can I get alignment with you on the parts of the puzzle that I see really affect your team and my team? And when you do that, you have to do that with such integrity and reliability that people want to work and align with you. And then you can just move on throughout your career the way that makes sense for you. That's what I would say. I mean, a part of being a lifelong learner is like you're always learning. You're going to hit humps, you're going to hit roadblocks, and you won't be perfect. But those are the tips and tricks that I would advise.
That's great. That's great. I love that listening tour. I've never heard that before.
Man, yes. You think you know something until somebody tells you something.
That's right. That's right. This episode is brought to you by K. Bassman International, the leader in pharma and biotech recruiting. When pharma executives need to make critical hires, they go to the experts at K. Bassman, pharma's one-source staffing solution. Visit kbic.com. Now back to the episode. Another thing that I thought I knew what it was, but I really didn't, was this whole phrase of Omni-Channel. I've been hearing this term used over and over, Omni-Channel, 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 but what does it mean?
So I think I heard you say Omni-Channel, right?
Yes, Omni-Channel, sorry.
Yes. So it's funny, I laugh because, are you familiar with like Alvin and the Chipmunks?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's like, I think of Omni-Channel as like, it has two other chipmunks with it. Like you can't go in a room and not hear the words digital and AI that you're like, I'm going to Omni-Channel my way out of here. Like they just go together. And I think that the reason Omni-Channel and those words go together is because how much digital have advanced our communication pathways where people want to be omnipresent. Omni means everywhere. All. If you look at just the root word omni, it means all. If you look at the root word channel, it's a pathway of communicating. You and I communicated through Pharmaverse here, but before we got here, we reached out, we spoke to each other on LinkedIn. That's a pathway. We spoke to each other on email, we text, we call. But when you were traveling, I would take it to a conference. You sent me a screenshot of your Uber that showed you got an advertisement from a pharma company. I didn't even look into the details of it. I don't know what company it was. I don't know the product, but I got what was going on. Someone was communicating with you on a pathway that's your preferred channel for traveling to wherever you were going. Let's assume you're going to a conference. In that pathway journey that, hey, Michael's now seen that we're there, he should go to our booth. If you go to that booth, that's another pathway or a channel that they're communicating with you. And they do that across all those consent channels that you have, that you take the action that they're seeking you to take on that journey. That's what Omni-Channel is, being ubiquitous. I think companies like Disney, Universal, and Amazon do it really, really well. Amazon's not making products to sell you. They're hosting other individuals' product, but they want you to buy that product from them because they want to be a service provider to you. That when you think of them ubiquitously whenever you're ready to purchase a product. And they'll remind you of that by going on those channels, sending you ads and email when it's time for you to shop for Valentine's or Christmas and reminding you this is the place that we want you to purchase on. So that's in a nutshell, but please invite me back to talk about Omni-Channel because it's so much. But that's just one aspect of the way I break it down.
Well, one other question about Omni-Channel, because you're right. I did text you. I'm at a conference. I see some company advertising on my Uber app as I'm waiting for the Uber. I'm like, oh, this is Omni-Channel. I'm being Omni-Channeled at the moment. But the thing is, let's say I do visit that company's booth. How do they track the ROI? Like, how do they know it was because of the Uber ad?
Restate the question for me. Say you do.
So if I go to the booth, how do they know it was because the Uber ad drove me there? How do they know they're spending the money in the right way?
So yeah, so that's one of the ways that I like to break down. You're going to get some leading indicators and some lagging indicators. Leading indicators like, hey, we got these vanity metrics is what I'll call them, meaning we did what we said we're going to do. We're going to target these particular segment on this channel. And the vanity metrics is like, did we do it? How many people clicked it? How many people came through it? That's quick information that you can say, we're reaching Michael. He's actually informed about us. Lagging indicators, meaning a little bit later, but those are those actionable metrics, is like, did Michael go home and do what we needed him to do with this information? If you're talking providers, did they go and make informed patient care based off of the new information that you're providing them? Did you help with the patient centricity so that that experience is good? So those lagging indicators are things you're going to look at way down the line that you see has the dynamics in this ecosystem and this environment that Michael lives in. I know you live in Colorado, that in Colorado, men are doing X that we wanted them to do.
That's interesting. Because I'm a guy that, like, whenever I'm going to do some sort of marketing, I want to be able to track the ROI on it. And it just seems like a lot of this omni-channel is just, hey, we understand omni-channel is important, and any one channel is going to have its own ROI, but we just know it's going to work if we just do an omni-channel approach. Is that sort of how it works?
I don't think so. I don't think you just. I don't think it's that you just throw it at the wall and say we're going to do an omni-channel approach. Or I don't think you throw it at the wall and say we're going to adopt AI or we're going to adopt digital. First, you got to be really clear. What is our strategy? What do we want Michael to do? And because we know Michael is, if it's okay, a white male, and he has preferences to use Uber when he travels, or he is on the Pharmaverse. We're going to strategically say we want to put information on a channel that Michael prefers. So then you do that, but the activity is just the activity. It's like, we did it. You got the vanity, but the lagging indicator is like that impact. Did we really make an impact? And that anchors to a strategy. I can't say what someone's strategy is in medical affairs as it relates to their products or their diseases. But it's easy to do that when you talk about a product. Did Michael go home and buy it if you're Amazon? Did Michael go home and read it if you're Audible? Like, it's very clear that you have to anchor it to that person and that strategy for that, what you need them to do on that journey.
But they knew eyes were going to be on Uber.
Oh, for sure.
Everybody coming into the airport's taking an Uber somewhere, or Lyft or whatever. So that's a genius strategy. Same thing is I'm looking up at all the rows of the different booths, and there's an advertisement on that. Well, my eyes are up there. I'm looking because I got to figure out where I am. So this omni-channel approach is really it does take a lot of strategy, but it's also you got to be thinking ahead. Where are the eyes going to be?
Yeah. I mean, it's really a way of working, meaning like we want to communicate across all the channels that our people are on so that we can get them with the right content at the right time with the right information that drives them across our journey. So I think it'll be here around for quite some time with its other two chipmunks, digital and AI.
All right. Well, we're going to get to the future of omni-channel because I'm curious about that. But one of the things I was just thinking about is, communication is a two-way street. So yeah, we want to communicate our strategy down to the end user or the person we want to have do something. How do you gain insights back? Is it just, did they do what you wanted them to do? Are there other insights that you can gather?
Yeah, I mean, it takes me back to the point earlier, like what we've described so far is just the outbound approach. There's an outbound effort that's going on and saying, we're going to deliver this content outwardly to Michael or to whomever on these channels. That's the outbound information that you have, but that information should drive inbound information, inbound insights. And that should anchor your omni-channel plan. So you say you got the strategy, you know the right person, you know the right channel, you know the right content. You know what you're measuring so that you can say, we did what we said we were going to do. So what does that mean for Michael? It says you first look at those vanities. Like, did we reach him? Did he touch the Uber ad that we sent him? Did he open it? Those are basic metrics that will inform an MSL where Michael's at on their journey. If you were a provider, Michael knows about this disease a little bit better now. Michael might be more interested in understanding the trials or how to use this in their patients. So you can tell or teach his teams how to do that. It really informs the field strategy because now you know where those people are on the journey. Those lagging indicators, when you're saying how well are we drawing impact, it should make should make you insightful. If you have a first-in-class, disease-changing product, you can look at those lagging indicators and say, have we impacted care? Are more people being diagnosed early? Are more people adopting these products earlier for the right patient type? And you can look at that and say, this is how we're drawing impact back into the business.
Wow. I mean, if you have a strategy and then you take insights and you tweak the strategy, and it's like this ever-changing dynamic field of omni-channel, it's got to be a fun place to work.
Yeah, I mean, it's ever-changing. And like I said, I get to sit on and talk to all of our peers, and we're all trying to figure this out. But there was a really good demonstration in one of the McKinsey papers on Omni-Channel that shows it kind of in a circle, like it all loops back. Like those insights should inform how you target those segments or how you change your channel strategy or how you change what you're doing overall strategically. So I think I know we're scratching the surface from just being in the executive program at Kellogg. It's so deeper than just what we're speaking about, but it takes time to get to that place where you're executing like an Amazon, a Disney, and Universal.
So you said we're scratching the surface. What is the future for omni-channel?
Yeah, I mean, one, I think that the future is omni-channel is here to stay. People are adopting omni-channel channels all over and new channels. Right now, there's even legislation on the House floor about banning one of the most prominent channels, which is TikTok. However, when that moves away, people are going to get information on a different channel. So if that was a part of your channel strategy, you have to change it. But I'll give you three things that I think the future of omnichannel will deliver. One, more personalized content to individuals quicker and sooner through AI and machine learning, and to do that based off of their preference, based off of their specialty, based off of where they are in the world and on that journey. So we'll see more content that says you're impacting what's important to this person who treats this specific type of individuals that mirror what you're trying to do with your product. Two, I think we'll see more integration of those channels. Right now, you can integrate, you can communicate across multiple channels, but providers and payers and patients, and even as consumers, we see you as one. We see Apple as Apple. We don't see Apple's they're a separate department of an organization within it. We just see Apple. We don't see Apple sales. We don't see Apple in the actual store. We just say, this is Apple. I'm at Apple. This is the experience. So I could see medical affairs deeply integrating its channel strategy with the company so that people's experiences mirror what you want that to be for your company in terms of the overall provided source that you give them. Then I also see that we will have to evolve the way in which we train and get people upskilled in terms of their ability to use these systems. So working deeper with governance and compliance partners so that we can deliver for the patients and the providers. I grew up in small town Georgia. Once was like the poorest county in the United States. Super rural, super resource deserts. The providers that I or my family members would go to are not going to ASCO. They're not going to these large conferences. But being able to put information on a pathway that matches for them, you begin to impact resource deserts. You begin to impact those institutions that's really hard for individuals to get around. And if you look at the world, me being from a resource desert in the United States, it's very different from being in a resource desert in some third world country that still needs your product. So it really allows you to get to the right people at the right time. So that's where I see the future of it, and I'm excited to learn and share as my colleagues figure it out.
That's cool. I mean, it's definitely something that I'm more cognizant of now. Now that you've educated me about it, but I want to take the concept of Omni-Channel and apply it to leadership. One of the candidates I was placing, you're going to love this. One of the candidates I was placing, I'm preparing her for an interview, and she's coming out of this presentation. And so she had to call me back, and she calls me back. She's like, I just heard a great presentation. Do you know a guy named Donnie Wooten? I was like, yes, I know Donnie Wooten. Anyway, she was explaining that you have this methodology as it relates to team communication. Would you be willing to share that with us?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things about when you go through your career, you meet amazing people, you learn from them, and you gain understanding. So something I learned along the journey is, and it works for teams, it works for individuals, it works for your group, but it's a network mapping where you put yourself in the center, like just draw a circle on a sheet of paper and you put your initials. I'll put DW on mine. And then around that circle, you put people around it, and you put their initials, like MP for Michael Pietrack. You put them in like a triangle. Put them close to you. If they are close as a relationship where I talk to Michael, we are communicating, put them further out. Like, I need to get to know these people, but they're not close in my circle, and draw lines to them so that they're connected to you. If you look at those lines and they're far off, you think about, how do I get them closer? But then you also want to look at those lines and put in the direction in which the values go. And so, for instance, I would mark my line going towards you, where it says, like, Michael's getting something out of this. He gets a chance to have a conversation with me. And then I would also mark the line showing direction to me, because I gain out of this. I get to connect with someone I've known for over 10 years and also learn about what's going on in our industry. So that's reciprocity, seeing if it's a mutual relationship. And then the final thing you do is you put a plus or minus on it. Is it very hard to have this conversation? You put a minus, like it's a very difficult relationship. Or positive, like, I love just talking to Michael, it's easy. And then you observe your network and say, where am I short? Where's my team short? Where are we not communicating with someone who's going to execute the part of our plan for the big business? So that's what I do when I want to network map for myself. That's what I advise fellows who are coming into the industry. They're always asking me about networking. What does it mean? I said, just understanding where you are and the people that are connected to you, and who's getting reciprocity, and being honest with yourself is like how to do it better.
Wow, I could visualize that. I have to do that with my team. It gets kind of convoluted when you're like the second line manager, and you want to have direct communication with that person, but you also don't want to overstep the direct manager. How do you work around that?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'll say one of the things that I think, if you're operating in integrity and respect, like if someone was to talk to someone on my team, if it's done with integrity and respect, like, we're all in it together. I anchor my team to this thought that we're all rowing regatta, where it's like we're all pulling us forward. And it might not feel like we're in it together, but we're on this one boat together, and we need to, the better we can row together, the best. I believe in the ability for people to do skip meetings and learn and grow. So I think as long as you're moving in integrity and respect, no problem. However, I think it's really, really important for you to understand, and probably them to understand, is like, what is the ask you have for them? And they have to knock that out. Like, if they're not knocking out their day job, they need to connect with Michael and make sure they're getting that delivered. Am I answering the question that you're asking?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. I mean, hey, if we're all rowing in the same direction, the whole org chart thing shouldn't even matter. Like, we're all on the same boat. It's not this hierarchy thing that we got to be worried about.
Yeah. I think
But you're leading a pretty big team now, right?
Well, I am leading a big team, and I'm grateful. I think to all the people I've had the chance to meet across my career that have led me, and to be able to lead. It's like it just calls you to a higher degree of service.
That's it. Yeah, I love that. A lot of people have that reversed where they feel like if you're the leader, they're servicing you. It's the other way around. Aside from communication, because I know that's paramount in your leadership style, what would you say is another key in effective leadership?
I think for me, Michael, like the one thing that from anyone who I've worked for or that I've been a part of a team with them, that they've gotten the most out of me and allowed me to deliver and just feel like invited into the mission is their ability to build trust. When you're able to build trust with individuals, you can get the best out of them. You can truly aspire and move the needle so quickly. That's what I would say. And I think trust leans and anchors on a few things. Credibility, like people got to find you credible. They got to believe in your vision. And at some point, they got to see themselves in that. And like I said, I think leadership calls us all to a higher degree of service to people and to the individual, to the team, and to the organization. So you got to be able to be more reliable and deliver into that as well, so people feel and see you. And the most important part that I think everyone is probably struggling with in our industry as it's reorging and it's changing so frequently and so fast, you got to make people feel safe. And that's a very difficult thing to do when there's so much change. But I think if you anchor to being credible, if you anchor to being reliable, people will start feeling safe.
I appreciate that too. I really think trust is incredibly important. And it goes beyond saying, hey, you can trust me. Mm-hmm. Are there best practices? Are there methodologies that you used in order to foster trust within a team?
Yeah, I think the biggest one that's true no matter if it's a team or just an individual relationship is being willing to listen. Like you got to be willing to listen to people and not answer for them. But I all of these things I'm telling you, I operate under the two L's, learn and leverage. So something I've learned we used to do this in the field is asking the 4 W's on the bench of how. So if you think about the letter W, it looks like someone sitting. It's like a butt on a bench. If you think about the letter H, it looks like a bench. If you think about 4 W's sitting on that, asking people that when you're having those listening things, what would you do? Why? Where? When? And how would you do it? Like getting them to answer it for themselves so you can motivate them to where they need to be if they're answering wrong, or support them really hard when they're right so that you can keep it moving forward. So that's one thing I try to do is be a better listener and to ask those questions that I know will get people to those right answers or the right thoughts of where people are. And then some other tricks that I learned, like one of my, I can't even call him a mentor because I don't even know if he knows I think of him this way, but he's really big at my very first company. He's a VP. He used to do this thing that I do at my team is we have sunshine. You had fun over the weekend. You bring in your picture. It could be your family. It could be you got a dog. I've seen it all. I've seen people jumping out of planes. I've seen people getting their kids married. I've seen people get married. We're people. We're human. We need to connect and understand each other, and especially in this digital era where we don't get to do that as often personally, that you get to see like this is what's important to people outside of work, and that they're human. They have families and they have lives that are really driving them to be here so that they can deliver for patients all around the world. So that's what I do, but I'm always learning and picking up tricks that other people do. I've started adopting like gratitude, where people just go around. I was on a team call and someone just goes around and they just say like, thank you. I'm thanking this person for X, Y, and Z. But I believe if you can listen to people, ask really good questions, and then allow them to be supported by you, that's the number one leadership that you'll get the most out of individuals and team contributors.
Those are wonderful insights, Donnie. Let me hit you with a question about things that maybe didn't go so well. What's the biggest lesson that you've learned in your leadership journey that you had to learn the hard way?
Trust takes time and patience. Building trust takes time and patience. And I think that it's going to test you more as a leader than it would the individuals. And the more patient you are with yourself and the more you're able to listen and respond to your own cues, the better you'll be able to build that trust for those individuals who are going to deliver. So that's something I had to learn the hard way. You come in, you think like, I know it, I'm ready. And then you figure out people are different. They got different things going on. You got to give them time to see that credibility, bring them into the vision, let them see themselves, see you as reliable, and see that this is a safe place for them to be and deliver as their best self.
Donnie, this has been great stuff. But sadly, we are out of time. I can't believe how quickly the time went. But I got to tell you, I learned so much. I'm sure the audience did too. So, behalf on all in the Pharmaverse, we just want to thank you for your time and your insights.
Well, thank you for having me, Michael, and thank you for having me in the Pharmaverse.
Of course. Well, that concludes another episode of the Pharmaverse. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any leadership insights and career advice. And we'll see you next time on the... Thanks for joining us on the Pharmaverse Podcast. Make sure you subscribe below so you don't miss any leadership insights. Like and comment. I would love to hear from you. We'll see you on the next episode of Pharmaverse.